we are in Yaakov, Brachot, Nunchet, the 58a. So, like I said, we were talking about that a person should run to see a Jewish king and also a non-Jewish king to see the pomp and circumstances that they get, and therefore they're going to be able to treat Hashem at least as well. So now we have this story. Rav Sheshet Sagi Nahor Havai. Rav Sheshet, now it literally means was full of light. This is what we call this actually a language of Sagi Nahor. Sagi Nahor means he was really blind. Instead of saying he was blind, we say he was full of light. It's an expression, full of light. And he's blind. He really is blind. But we say that he was a Sagi Nahor. He had full of light. He was full of light. So it's I don't know how you would.
Inside he was.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying when you want to say he was bright, if the guy is not as the brightest guy in the classroom, you can say, oh, he's a Talmud Chacham, because you want to. It's the that's what you call lashon Sagi Nahor. If someone says, oh, he's so generous, when he's not. Then that's again lashon Sagi Nahor. So it's all the same. It's all the same. I don't know how to euphemistic. It's euphemistic language.
Are you going to say sarcastic?
No. It's not, it doesn't have. It does not have to be sarcastic. It's euphemistic.
Okay.
So again, if a person, I don't want to insult the guy. So the famous joke with that would be there was the mafia guys. What do you call them? The mob. Oh, thank you. A guy from the mob died, and it was a Jewish guy, and so his brother goes to the rabbi and says, "Rabbi, I want to speak well about my brother." And the brother was a killer. He did everything wrong, and the rabbi and he said to the rabbi, "If you don't, you won't be. This will be your last funeral." So he's going to die. Okay, fine. The rabbi tzitering. Tzitering means worrying the whole night through. He doesn't know what he's going to say. He walks up to the pulpit, and everybody's lined up, all the friends and family of this Shmuel.
Guys with their hands like that.
Right. So the rabbi gets up and he says, here we are. We have to say goodbye to our friend Shmuel, and compared to his brother Reuven, he was mamash tzaddik. Okay. Again, lashon Sagi Nahor. That's what you're getting. You're not saying anything wrong per se. You're making a statement. Okay. So again, it's normally when we use it, it's normally the guy who's blind. So it's going to say it's full of light. Again, if a person is not the brightest bulb on the tree, to use that sort of language in the season, so then you would say he was such a chacham. You don't want to insult the guy. That's all. So that's what it is. I don't think he talk. Does he talk about this? No, he says you have to go to Pesachim. Fine. So
leniency.
Say it again.
Leniency.
Yeah. So here we have Rav Sheshet. Everyone was going to greet the king. Rav Sheshet rose and went with him. So a certain Sadducee met Rav Sheshet. Now let's understand something. The Gemara does not like Sadducees.
Yes.
Saddukim, where did Saddukim come from? They came from Antigonus Ish Socho. It says that in the Mishnah of Pirkei Avot that Antigonus the man of Socho, said that we should serve Hashem not with the desire of reward, but with just out of love, basically. And he said, "Do not serve Hashem as a servant serves the master for want of reward. Rather, you should do it for not want of reward." Notice, I'm doing it because I love Hashem, following orders because I love Hashem. Saduki and Baitus heard this. Tzadok and Baitos, two students, heard this and said, wait a second, we're working without reward? What kind of nonsense is that? And they said, so this is all fake. Nobody can expect me to work and not get reward. I go to work, I want my paycheck. Okay, as simple as that. So they broke off, and they denied the oral tradition. They were the
They
first.
started the.
Well, they weren't the first. Korach would have been the first.
Oh, they go way back. Okay.
Yeah, but everybody. Let's understand something. Throughout history, we just changed the names. We just changed the names. The only you had Hellenists and Hasidim. That was the first one. Then you had Tzadduki, Perushi, Tzaddukim, and Pharisees, Essenes, and the Zealots. They were the next. Then you keep going. The Karaites were next. If you want to go for groups, then Conservative Reform, Reconstructionists are the current. The only difference, and I've said this many times, historically, the Conservative Reform and Reconstruction movement have broke off from their past in only one way. They deny the written tradition. They say that also was not written by God. They're the first of that break-off to do that. There's no other break-off in history that ever denied the written tradition. They all said that was from Hashem. Until the conservative, again, let's go in order, Reform. Conservative, Reconstructionists, and they're all coming out from the Reform anyway, so they're all just children from the Reform with the philosophies. But they're the first ones historically to deny the authenticity and the authorship of the Torah. So we're only going back to the 1700s for that. Mm-hmm. That's a really recent innovation. And by the way, and again, I'll say this over and over and over again, the Conservative Reform and Reconstructionist laity don't know what I'm talking about because they believe the Torah is from God. 9 out of 10 of them, actually 9.9 out of 10 of them believe that. Only those who have really looked into the philosophies of knowing what's going on will at least have a concept if they don't believe that. But they won't know why they don't believe that. Very few people understand what's going on there. And I would have to say the rabbis also, I used to think the rabbis knew. I'm changing my position on that. I don't think the rabbis know the difference either. I think that a lot of them believe the Torah is from God or haven't thought about it and really don't know what their philosophy says either. Because when confronted with their philosophy, they don't know how to move.
They don't learn that at JTS?
I'm sure they do. Oh. But again, I don't think that, I think people just, like every other course that we've ever taken, we say, write the papers, pass it in, but we don't necessarily buy it.
Wow.
Sorry. Wow. So I'm just saying and that's a change, if that's true. It's from people I've talked to, I'm begin to change. I used to think that they did know and they did accept. I'm beginning to change my thought on that. But I hope I'm right this way instead of the other way, because the other way they become epicursim, and here they just become amayaretz. That's ignoramus. I can't do much about that. But I'd rather be an ignoramus than an epicurus. That's how you have to look at that. But like I said, that's who the Sadducees were. So the Sadducees deny the oral tradition. So what happens? A certain Sadducee met Rav Sheshet, Amar Le, and said to him, Chadzve lenahara kiganei laya. Whole pitchers go to the river. Where do broken pitchers go? You understand what he's saying? Yeah, he's insulting. All right. So it says whole pitchers. So they explain.
Is he insulting him because he's blind?
Yeah. So he's saying, he explains in 38, whole pictures are taken to the river to be used in drawing water, but there's no purpose for taking broken pitchers here. Likewise, you Rav Sheshet are blind and cannot see the king. So why are you going to the procession? So Amalei, Rav Sheshet answered him, Ta chazi didana tefeminach. Come and see, I know more about the king's procession than you do. Chalav Gundra Kamaite, the first crew passed by. Kikaya Avsha, when it became loud, Amale Lahu Tzaduki, that Tzaduki said to Rav Sheshet, Ata Malka, the king has come. And so, you heard the shouting of the crowd. He says, the king has come. Okay, fine. So Rav Sheshet, Amale Rav Sheshet said to him, Lo Kati, he's not coming. He's not here yet. Oh, okay. Chalav Gunda Tiana. So a second troop passed by. Ki Kayavsha again became loud. Sa'ar Malay Out Saduki said to Rav Sheshet, Hashta Kayat Malka. Now the king is coming. Amalei Rav Sheshet said to him, Lo Kai Malka, Lo Kayat Malka. No, the king is not yet coming. Oh, here you have a blind guy and you have a guy with sight. He hears the crowd. He says, oh, he's coming. No, he's not coming. Okay, fine. Chalev Talitai. The third troop passed by. Ki Kaishatkad. Oh, then it subsequently grew quiet. Amalei Rav Sheshet. So Rav Sheshet said to him, Vadai hashta ati malka. It's now certain that the king is coming. Amalei Tzeduki. The Tzeduki asked him, Minallah, how do you know this? Amalei, he answered him, the malchuta de ara kagain malchuta durakia. The royalty of the earth is like the royalty of heaven. Hence, I knew that the king would come when it grew quiet after three troops passed. Because, how do I know? Dichtiv is written in the Torah. Say, ve'amarta bahar lifnei Hashem. Go and stand at the mountain before Hashem. V'hinei Hashem oveh v'ruch gedola v'chazak mefarei charim v'shabes shalaim lifnei Hashem lo baruch Hashem. And behold, it says, Hashem was passing, and a great and powerful wind smashing mountains and breaking rocks went before Hashem. Hashem was not in the wind. V'yacha ruach rash lo barash Hashem. After the wind came an earthquake. Hashem was not in an earthquake. V'yacha rash eish. And after the earthquake came a fire. Lo ba'eish Hashem. Hashem was not in the fire. V'yacha eish. And after the fire, kol demama daka. There was a small, thin sound. That's the pasuk. Okay, so that's the verse. This comes from 1 Kings. Elijah knew through prophecy that the glory of the Shekhinah was not present in the world, in the wind, earthquake, or fire, but that it passed only when he heard the still, thin sound. When the verse mentions wind, it actually refers to a troop of angels that cause wind to blow. The same applies to the verse mentioned in the earthquake and the fire. Fine. So, and ki'ata, that's how he knew, by the way. He's using a pasuk that is the same way that the heavenly world works, so also the ground down here. We do the same thing down here. So when there's quiet, that's when the king is going to come. Okay, fine. Let's go on. And he says, so Ki'ata Malka, when the king finally came, Patach Rav Sheshet v'kam mevarich lei. Rav Sheshet began blessing him. Amalei Tzeduki, the Tzeduki said to him, Leman delo chazit lei kayem mevarchat. Someone you cannot see, you are blessing. So Umay, he doesn't like that. Okay, so he said to him, blessed are you, who gave his glory to his creatures. That's what it is. So from here we see, it seems that one must say the bracha even if he cannot actually see the king, but he's merely aware of the presence. In other words, he knows that the king is passing by in a covered wagon. However, this does not necessarily apply to other blessings. Perhaps it is only in this case where the blessing is about glory, which is intangible, that sight is not required. But in the case of tangible phenomena such as mountains, seas, lightning, or anything else, one recites the blessings only if he actually sees them. So here you have a question. He didn't see him. How can he make a bracha? Okay? Because normally if I'm going to make a bracha, I have to see it, I have to feel it, I have to do something with it. So only in the case of glory, which is intangible, he's arguing, maybe you can say it. So my heavy alei dahu tzeduki. So what happened to that tzeduki? Ikadamri. Some say chavrohi kach linhu ent leine. His colleagues painted his eyes, which means Rashi explains they gouged out his eyes. The verb kachal usually denotes the application of cosmetics or medicine to the eye. Is used here as in a euphemistic sense. So they plucked his eyes out. Okay. That was the Sadducee.
They really did not like Sadducees.
Who didn't?
These people, the Torah people.
Well,
no, these are Sadducees.
the Sadducees not doing it. His friends are. So
Is that his friends
his colleagues.
Boy.
putting eyes out of him?
Say it again?
So his colleagues are putting eyes out of him.
Yeah. No, see, there's nothing wrong to them. It wasn't because of this particular story.
Oh, okay.
And just in general, his eyes were plucked out. Why? Why would his eyes be plucked out, by the way? Because he's making fun of Rav Sheshet, who's blind. So
And the friends must have realized that he was wrong.
no. You're going now. You're putting too much together.
Oh.
What happened was what's going to happen is mida connected mida.
Oh.
Measure for measure. You made fun of the guy for being blind. So Hashem sets up a scenario which is his friends, colleagues, whatever, are going to make him blind. It could be that he cheated them somewhere else down the line. It doesn't mean from this particular
didn't have
case.
right then on the spot.
No.
Okay.
That's what I said. What happened what happened to that Sadducee?
But
Because
ultimately, somewhere.
yeah,
got
it's what you call karma. Right? Karma. It's all what you're doing with karma here. And Hashem has his ways to get everything done. That's all. That's all we're really saying. Let me see if anybody says anything else on this, but
There was one more statement it says here.
yeah, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
Oh.
I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything.
Oh, you're looking for more commentary on it.
Yeah. I don't see anything else on it, so we'll have to go with what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so then, and the others say, he could Amri, and some others say, no. Rav Sheshet Natan Einav Bo, Rav Sheshet set his eyes upon him. Again, he's blind. Now Segal Shel Atzamot, and he became a heap of bones. Okay, so in Erevin is taught that whoever transgresses or mocks the words of the sages is liable to death penalty for breaching their authority. He became a heap of bones means that his flesh became decomposed and only his bones were left, like the body of a person who died long ago. Again, this is not an immediate thing. This is going to be later on. Fine. Nothing happens like in the movies. We have to remember that. In the movies, you can look at something and they melt.
So the reader has to know that, and keep things in perspective, in other words.
Right. You have to understand that it is what it is.
You know, and it's almost like reading this is almost like, we're learning that when you read anything in Tanakh, you can't just take it straight out of face value.
Correct.
You have to have all the understandings that go with it.
Correct. And you have to understand that the Sadducee is again, they're denying Torah. Well, the truth is, you really can't deny the oral tradition without denying the written tradition. Ultimately, they're both, because they really do run together. Yeah. And so here I'm making fun of this rabbi because I don't understand it, and I'm using euphemistic language. Whole pitchers go to the river, where broken pitchers go, and instead of just saying to him, by the way, if he would have said to him nicely, he could have said, Rav Sheshet said, I understand that. Why are you coming? You can't see what's the use.
He didn't have to insult him.
He didn't have to insult. So could you please explain to me why you're coming?
This is almost like you could put this in he's just talking in the Bible, put this in modern day terms about people will mock Orthodox rabbis because these guys are all crazy. What are you doing? They don't understand.
By the way, it works both ways. It works all the way through the system. In other words, if I have the Orthodox also like to mock. They mock the conservative. They mock this. They mock that. What I'm saying is, in general, if people would talk to each other and ask, not challenging, just let's have a conversation. What is going on here? What is going on here? Why do you say this? And why are you doing this? I think that you would find that either you agree on a point or you disagree, whatever the case is going to be, but there's a conversation going on, and you don't have to be mean-spirited about it. I can disagree with you because your opinions are all messed up, but it's not worth insulting the person and constantly ribbing the person.
I think we
what
mentioned
are you doing?
This week already. This is just like the current political season. It's just throwing insults back and forth, and nobody wants to really talk.
Correct. And they don't want to do it, and nothing gets done as a result. So same thing with the women of the wall, all the way through. It's the same thing every single time. Again, I can insult. I can look. By the way, Orthodox to Orthodox, I can look at what some Orthodox are doing, and say you're a bunch of Michiganers, and they'll look at me and say you're not Pekaris, and we'll be all set. We're all insulting each other instead of saying, what are you basing that upon? There's only one person actually, I shouldn't say only one, but there's one I remember who asked me, could I explain my leniency for this particular thing? So whatever that was. And I said to him, well, let me ask something. If I explain it to you, are you going to then try to argue with me about it, or are you just going to, just really want to know? Is your question a question, or is your question an answer? You tell me what it is, because I'll know how to respond either way. She said, no, I really want to know. So I gave him the heter I was using, and his response to me was, I knew you'd have one. Period. There was no response. There was no argument. I said, great, okay, now we can. And, we went on to being friends. But you have those who ask you, and they're really not asking you. They're telling you you're wrong, but they put in a question phrase. So really that's what the Sadducee was doing. And Rav Sheshet was answering him in kind. In other words, it wasn't a nice conversation. It was really, I'll show you that you don't know anything. I don't have. Rav Sheshet says, I have no vision, but you have vision, you still don't know what you're saying. Really, that's what's going on. And why, by the way? Because I base myself on Torah. You're basing yourself on what you see and what you hear. That's not good. That's really what's happening. And that's why when Rav Sheshet, after all these insults, Rav Sheshet sets his eyes upon him, and now all that's left of him in the last part is a heap of bones. Your neshama is gone because you don't relying upon that. You're not listening to your own neshama. Okay. So now another story. So Rav Shila Nagde Lahu Gavra. So Rav Shila administered lashes to a certain man, the Baal Mitzrit, who had cohabited with an Egyptian woman, and he gives you again, they explain that cohabitation with a Gentile is a transgression under rabbinic law, for which punishment is lashes, what we call makat mardut, lashes of rebellion. Yeah. So for all those who say that how the rabbis enforce their laws, this is how they did it. Makat mardut. If you went against the rabbis, then you could get lashes.
That kind of punishment, was it only occurred during temple days? And who could make that ruling?
The courts.
And it was only during temple days?
No.
And that's when the death penalty stopped, when the temple was destroyed, yeah?
No, you can still punish them. You're asking in reality
when adjudicate that today, or since the temple was destroyed?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, today nobody.
Yeah.
Today nobody.
But once the temple was,
I'm not sure if it went. I think it went probably after the temple a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back. In I guess it's in the Gemara in Makos, the statement where concerning capital, not corporal punishment, but concerning capital punishment, that said that about the hanging cord.
Yeah.
Once in 7 years, once in 70. I mean,
twice. Twice in 7 or twice in 70.
Was corporal punishment administered a little more often than the capital punishment?
Corporal, yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
Corporal, you did something against the rabbis. There has to be some sort of just system. Otherwise, you're not going to listen. You'll never listen. In other words, it wasn't. What do you call it today? A trust system. Honor. It wasn't an honor system. Mm-hmm. Even today, we have our ways. I mean, you put the guy into cherem, you put the guy into whatever.
What was the level of witness that you needed for corporal punishment? For capital punishment, what was the two witnesses that had to be right?
You have to have right. You'd have to know what you're doing, but you'd have to see it.
Yeah, somebody's got.
It can't be circumstantial in any case.
It's still got to be two witnesses.
I believe so.
Okay. Yep.
I don't think we're going to change that, but I'm not 100% sure there.
Yeah.
In some senses, I've never seen it being given. I've never been part of that court. We don't. There's a halacha would say, that we can't. I think it says in Choshen Mishpat that we can't do that anymore. we're very limited in what we can do because we're not ruling in this government. In other words, the governments have their own laws. So if they would give us the ability to,
so that would be
like they did in the Council of the Four Lands in Europe, you had the rabbis who were on the Council of Four Lands. So there, the rabbis could levy taxes. They run the government. They ran a private government. Okay, and that was with the government's approval because the government, I think it was Council of Four Lands, was Russia, something like that.
how many hundreds of years ago are you talking about?
Well, sometime long ago. You're talking about maybe 1500s, 1600s, yeah.
Okay.
And but it was to their benefit because they didn't have to administer to the Jewish population. They had the rabbis do it.
They just got the taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said to the rabbis, "This is what we want. Get it done." And so we were running our own stella, as it were. We had our own place. We really were running. Again, if history is true, I don't know, can't argue history right that, but if history is being true about it, so then we were running our own enclave, autonomous, the states within the state, like they do, by the way, if you go to Muncie, Muncie area, you have New Square. New Square has their own mailman. They have a whole system there. Again, they have to pay taxes to
post office truck comes and drops it off at their building, and then
whatever it is.
Of course, now what about do they only adjudicate civil law? They're not allowed to do criminal law within the United States, are they?
What do you mean?
Let's say one guy, Ruvain, physically steals something from Shmuel.
They could adjudicate that.
Okay, so in other words, something.
They could adjudicate that.
Okay.
Anybody can adjudicate that. If I sign over my rights.
And they agree to, yeah.
Right. So, and again, they have. I don't know how far New Square goes. I'm not sure. I can't argue that, but you could. I mean, that's the whole thing of a Beit Din. If the rule of the Beit Din is if Reuven and Shimon sign a non-arbitration, something called arbitration deal.
Yeah.
So they're giving up their rights to go to the courts. By the way, you know who has to do that? Judge Judy. Whoever goes in these judge shows, they have to sign the same piece of paper that this is abiding up at arbitration.
Of course, that's only civil law.
But it doesn't matter. I'm saying they have to sign this binding arbitration.
Yeah.
And so when you say criminal, again, is he stealing, beating? I don't know what he's doing. If he's killing, the answer is no. Then you can't.
Stealing all the way up to killing, I guess. Yeah.
I would say killing. We have no authority there. But stealing, probably would have authority. But I'm not sure. Yeah. Again, that would be how far does the U.S. want to allow a community to be self-regulating? The Amish would be an example of that. The Amish of the Indians. Yeah. What are they called? Native Americans. Okay, Native Americans.
You got the what do you call it? The Islamic enclaves that are pushing for their
Sharia law. Yeah. Right. So again, how far is the U.S. willing, or any country, willing to say to a private group, to say, okay, you can run your thing, but by the way, make sure you pass the taxes over to us. Again, we want money. So whatever you're going to do, we want the money. You're living on my land. I want my money, period.
They're getting the city or county services, whatever.
Right. You getting that? Well, actually, no. Again, if you go to a place like New Square, they're not relying upon the city garbage men. They're doing it themselves, I was told. So, again, all these things I don't know.
Well, they would be exempt from the taxes that would normally cover that, then I would take it.
Again,
cover those.
You're asking
your water bill every month you get here. You got your sewer and your trash pickup, everything.
So I'm going to tell you, like the famous line, it's way above my pay grade to answer that question. I don't know. But there's ways that they work it out.
Yeah, okay.
That's all. So here, the Council of Four Lands is the same thing here, the same thing here. Okay. We're going to work that out. Okay. So he administered lashes because, like I said, he had relations with a Egyptian woman, which was forbidden. Good. So now what happened? Azil achal be kortse be malka. Oh, here's this is an interesting statement. Literally, it means then a man ate seeds. What is it? He says right here, a kurtzin is a seed or something. So he ate seeds. He ate seeds in the house of the king, which means he went and slandered Reb Shila in the royal palace. This is another euphemistic term. Eating seeds. Achal bekortse, bemalkum. Achal bekortse, when he says person is eating seeds, that's always a code for he spoke Lashon Hara. Okay? So he says in 40, he explains, Achal kortzen is an idiomatic expression for spreading slander. When a slanderer went to someone's house to tell him some gossip, they would eat a snack known as kortzen to symbolically confirm the talebearer's words. Kurtzen is from the root karatz, wink, for talebearers wink as a means of imparting the message to its intended recipient without letting anyone else understand it. So, okay, so the guy goes, he's slandering him. Amar, he said, Ika chad gavra bihudai. There is a man amongst the Jews, the guy Dayan Dina below Harmana Malka, the Malkam, who administers justice without the authority of the king. We're going to get him in trouble. Okay. And so what happens? Shadalei Peristica, the king sent an emissary. Okay, and what happens? Kiata, when Reb Shila came to be examined by the emissary and his assistants, Amrilei, they asked him, "My timer, negada telahai, why did you give lashes to that man?" Amrilei, he answered him, "Deba al chamarta," because he copulated with a donkey. He had relations with a donkey. Now, who do you have relations with this?
An Egyptian woman.
An Egyptian woman. He says because he had relations with a donkey. Okay, so why? What was he lying for? So Reb Shila said the man copulated with a donkey because the penalty for his crime is death. Thus Reb Shila could claim that the lashes he administered was not a formal sentence which would require governmental authority, but rather an informal rebuke. In this way, Rav Shila defended himself against the charge of administering justice without proper authority. Okay. That's so yeah.
It's not because it's just a joke. It was funny. I thought of it's calling the Egyptian woman a donkey. Yeah, her name was Jenny.
Okay, good. Okay. So, right. So Armalei, they asked him, "Is le sahade? Do you have witnesses?" Armalei. So he answered them, yes. Elijah. Yes, we're talking about Elijah, the prophet. He makes a comeback. Elijah never died. He went up in a whirlwind, never dies. He comes back. He was a person of tzaddik, and he comes back to help out some people. As a matter of fact, we never know who Elijah is going to be. So he comes back, and the guys of a man and testified. I'm late. They said to Rav Shila, if this is so, this guy is liable to death because, again, you should, he had relations with the donkey. So they explain, Maharsha explains, that's to say you should have obtained permission from the government and put him to death. Also, although they had asked for witnesses, the testimony of one witness was sufficient. Alternatively, they relied upon the testimony of Rav Shila as well as that of Elijah. Fine, okay. So he said, Amalei, he's answered them, Anan miyoma de galina me arin. We, from the day we were exiled from our land, late lan, Rashut Miktal, have no authority to carry out executions. Atun ma de bitun avidube. You do with him what you want. So now, while they were examining the case, Patach Rabbi Shila v'Amar, Rav Shila began saying the verse, L'cha Hashem ha'gedula v'ha'gavora, yours Hashem is the greatness and the strength. Amrulei, they asked him, my kamrat, what are you saying? Amrulahu. He said to them, Hachi kamina, this is what I'm saying. Brich Rachmana, blessed of merciful one. Tiahav malchuta ba'ara ke'em malchuta derakia. Mind you, he's translating. Okay, he's translating.
Yeah.
He said in Hebrew, they're Persians. or Romans, whatever they are at this point. He's translated, like I would say something in Hebrew, and you would come to me and say, "What'd you say?" I give the English. This was their English. Okay? So he says, blessed is the one, the merciful one, who has established royalty on earth that reflects the royalty of heaven. V'yahav lechu shaltuna rachamei dina, and invested you with dominion and made you lovers of justice. So, he's softening them up here, by the way. Okay? By the way, this verse comes, he explains, the verse comes from Chronicles, and it says, we say this when we take out the Torah. Yours Hashem is the greatness, the strength, the splendor, the triumph, and the glory, even everything in the earth and heaven and earth. Yours Hashem is the kingship and sovereignty over every leader. Each strengthens and interpreted by the Gemara. Fine. So, but he's saying your lovers, and then he says your lovers of justice. So after listening to the characteristics of royalty, the verse continues in heaven and earth to teach that these characteristics belong to Hashem, whether they are found in the heavenly kingdom or in earthly kingdoms. The verse then states that yours, Hashem, is a kingdom to teach that God is the supreme monarch of all kingdoms, for all the earthly kingdoms are a reflection of their heavenly counterpart. Among the characteristics listed are greatness and strength, which represent dominion and splendor, which signifies compassion and justice. Rav Shila was afraid that the authorities might execute the man for bestiality, when in fact he was not liable for this penalty. By telling them that God invests earthly kingdoms with compassion and justice, he hoped that they would have mercy on the man and not put him to death. By the way, if they do put him to death, what does it mean? Right, yeah.
So the rabbi would get messed up by saying he had relations with a donkey instead of just saying he had relations with a woman.
Well, if he said he had relations with a woman and he would have administered justice, he would be killed.
So instead...
So again?
Instead he put the other guy's life on the line.
Well, yeah. The question is how could he? The question is how could he? And then, what was your question? That?
The whole point isn't how smart he is to talk to these officials this way to get them to go the right way. It's he said the wrong thing. He didn't do what was he's right. He's backpedaling really obviously. I mean,
What was he backpedaling?
He doesn't want to get killed, so he says he had relations with a donkey, and then they're going to kill him now. No, I can't do that because now I'm guilty of getting him killed.
Yeah, so he's trying to get but the point is he's showing respect for the government. So that's what we're looking at. Let's see what happens. We have to see what happens. Okay, and then we have to address the other question about why would he say a lie about that, and such a lie that's going to get him killed. That's the other question. Okay, let's finish the story though. So Amru, they said among themselves, Chaviva alei yakar de malchuta kulai hai. The glory of the monarch is so dear to him. Yahav le kulpa. They gave him a rod to use in applying punishment. Amru lo, they said to him, Don dina, administer justice. They gave him the authority to judge cases and apply a punishment. Fine. So Amru le, they said to, ki have nafik, when Reb Shila was going out, Amru le hu gavra. That man said to him, the one who Reb Shila had sent us to lashes, Avid Rahman and Yisrael, the Shakri Achi, the merciful one performs the miracles to lie like this? You got that? So he's telling him off. He said, wait, he could have got me killed, you Michigan. So the merciful one performs a miracle to lie like this? So Amrale, the Rav Shila said to him, Rasha, love chamari ikru dichtiv. Scoundrel, are they not called donkeys? Notice the Mitzrayim. Are they not called donkeys? As is written in the Pasuk. And there was the Pasuk say, Asher b'sara chamorim basaram. Whose flesh is the flesh of donkeys. When it's referring, and so Ezekiel is from the book of Ezekiel. In this verse, the Jewish nation is criticized for harking back to their infidelities in Egypt, a metaphor for idolatrous practices, wishing to be concubines to the Egyptians, whose flesh again, a euphemism for the male organ, is like that of a donkey, the most promiscuous of all animals. So, wait. So he said that I didn't lie. The Torah, it says in Ezekiel, it says in Yechezkel, they're compared to donkeys. You had relations with persons can be like a donkey. So I said it, deal with it. So it's what the Pasuk says. Yeah.
That's between the Jews and God and the Torah, not between the authorities who can get the guy killed.
True, but the Jew is challenging him.
Right,
Right, so he's saying, does God make miracles for lies like this? He says, it's not a lie.
right.
God called him a donkey. I use God's language. So I'm showing respect for that. And I'm doing everything else. And yeah, so God then makes a miracle, gives me the power back because, again, I complimented him, as it were. And that's what happened. So it's not complimentary to anybody going on here, by the way. Because it also has a lot of halachic ramifications that they're considered like donkeys. But that's a difference. We get to that sort of Masechta, we'll deal with that.
Yeah.
But it's what's going on. So he. So go ahead. But by the way, I hear your question. I'm not saying it's a bad question. It's a great question.
If he really respected the authorities, he would not have applied the beating. If that's where you cross the line of respecting the authorities.
Well, they wouldn't have done anything to him.
No, the rabbi wouldn't have done anything.
No, but I'm saying the courts wouldn't have done anything to this guy who would have gone against rabbinic law.
Right.
So, but that's the point. You have to have authority.
Right.
So if I have to have authority, so then I have to be able to administer. If your parents say to you, be in bed by 10 o'clock, or else, you go to bed at 10:15. Oh, I told you there's going to be an or else here. So what's the or else? I don't know. But you wait, it's coming. And it doesn't come. What happens next night? You go to bed, you don't listen anymore. It's over. Your parents have lost their authority. Okay? And so here also, if the rabbis didn't have some way to punish, it wouldn't have been good. So now he punished him. It was not publicly, it was privately. Somebody comes and slanders the rabbi, the courts, because they don't like this. And so now they investigate what's going on. And so on and so forth. In other words, it was a private situation. It was in the home. And somebody said something, the court, by the way, you know what this is? DCS. Is that what they call it here, DCS? The Children Protective Services? What do they call it here? Department of Children's Safety or something. DCS, yeah, that's what it is. So DCS, at least in the Boston area, DCS, wait a second. DCS is the people of, if you say, I saw Plony hit their kid, the government goes to the house, takes the kid away from the parents, no questions asked, by the way, and then starts the investigation. That's all because of slander. Okay, and so sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's better. It depends on what's going on. But that was inside. I gave my kid a punch on the hand, and you're taking the kid away. It doesn't make sense. What are you doing here? I mean, so you have to go to court and so on and so forth. But really, that's what's happening. So the rabbi is now using. Okay, if they find me guilty, I'm dead. So this guy, I'll tell him he copulated with a donkey, which even according to their laws is no good. It's death penalty. So I didn't do anything wrong. I just gave him lashes. Why did I give him lashes? Why didn't I give him death? Well, I just want to teach him a lesson. And then they say, oh, no, that's not good enough. Oh, now I'm in trouble. So now I have to say Lecha Hashem HaGedula, which is really what you're doing is davening to Hashem. He's davening to Hashem. They say, well, what are you doing? What incantation are you saying? So then he explains to them, you care that much about our system? Oh, so we're going to let you adjudicate. We're not afraid of you anymore. So the guy says, well, wait a second. What are you doing? Hashem is making miracles? The answer is he didn't make a miracle. The answer is he didn't make a miracle. Right. In reality, there was no miracle because I showed that I respect the system. And so they give me authority to do it, which again, what's it called? Binding arbitration. So we can do it. And then on top of that, I didn't lie. This is how we view it.
Right.
That's what he's explained to the Jew. But really, who's the ultimate guy who's responsible for this? The slanderer. Oh yeah, God ultimately, yes. God ultimately, yes. God runs the show, yes. If God didn't want, it wouldn't have happened yet. It's good. I like that. I agree with that. But it's the slanderer is the one who starts the ball rolling. Okay, so if you're going to blame anybody, blame the slanderer.
Right, the whole situation is bad.
There's no question about that. Yep. So now let's go on. Let's try to finish the story up and see what happens. Yeah.
So, are those two different things, like sleeping with a donkey and sleeping with a woman, or adultery?
No. Adultery is only
If she's married.
and with a human.
Right. If the
It
human.
has to be a Jewish human.
Okay. So those are two different crimes: cohabiting with a donkey and cohabiting with an Egyptian.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Yeah.
The one cohabiting with a donkey is a biblical injunction against that. There's no question. And then, an animal, and not just a donkey. And then with an Egyptian woman, according to most people, it's a biblical, it's a rabbinic injunction, not a biblical one.
So those are two different crimes, two different punishments.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
The one to get the punishment again for having relations with a woman that the rabbi said you shouldn't have relations with is whipping. I whip you.
Right.
And but when it's God, so then you get killed. Again, all these cases, certainly in the death sentence, you would need witnesses. We couldn't do that today anyway. We have no power of the, and I'm probably not over the lashes either. Yeah. But by the way, you have heard stories. I mean, stories have come out in the news recently, maybe a couple of years, 2 years ago, where when they want to get the divorce, that some rabbis, somebody beat up some guy. Beat him up, and again, it was supposed to be in the house. It was never supposed to be outside, and somebody, indicted them on that. So you have American law gets involved and says you can't do that. By the way, I don't think American law really cared one way or another how we do something internally, but once you allow it to get outside, then we have to put a stop to it. So I mean, that's really what's going on. I don't think American law really cares if Sharia law is wrong or if Jewish law is wrong. In other words, we don't want we can't deal with your religious problems, and that's really what happens. They don't deal with our religious problems. They don't deal with the church's religious problems. They say, you deal with your religious your way, but we have to adjudicate this way. And sometimes they don't match up. And actually, normally, they don't match up. Okay? So now we go on, and it says, here we go, okay. So Chazi Ka'azil Amemr Lahu Dekarinu Chamares, or Rav Shila saw the man was going to tell them that he had called them donkeys. That would have been a good situation. You're all a bunch of donkeys. Yeah. So Amar, he said to himself, Hi, Rodefu. This man is a pursuer. Now here we go. But the Torah Amra, and the Torah stated that Im Balaharagicha, if someone comes to kill you, Hashkem Lahargo, anticipate him and kill him first. Mache bekulpa bechatle. So Rav Shila hit him with a rod and killed him. That's it. Not for the reason that he had relations with the Egyptian, but because he said, this guy is going to go and he's going to get me in trouble. He's going to tell him I called him donkeys. Then I'll be on the deathbed here. So since he's a pursuer, this is a halacha that is unparalleled. It's not argued. If somebody is pursuing me, I have to stop. I am empowered to stop him, even if it takes deadly force. Yeah.
What if he doesn't know he's pursuing? What if he's just going there and saying?
No, he knows. That's the point. You saw he was going to.
By telling them, this guy called you a donkey, that the Egyptians are going to come and kill him. Okay.
Well, yeah, because he's saying because what's going to happen? He's going to say that He called the woman I had a relation with a donkey because she's a mystery, and you're all in the same category. So really, he was saying that. So really, he whipped me for no reason. According to your rules.
The whole thing starts. The guy has relations with the woman, and and the rabbi wants to give him lashes, and he rebels against that. Not willing to accept it, and he goes to the local authorities.
No, he gave him lashes.
We did give him.
Yeah, he gave him lashes.
But then
somebody else told on them.
Somebody
else told the rabbi.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that was a different person.
Right.
Yeah, then this whole thing starts. Then it continues with a different, not the guy who got delayed. He accepted it, but somebody else said.
No, he got whipped.
Yeah, okay.
Get whipped, you get whipped.
Oh, so the other guy was the
other guy was telling the rabbi's doing this.
He's an interloper.
Right. So now when the guy was whipped, he's saved. He said to the rabbi, "Wait a second, God does miracles basically for liars."
Yeah.
So he said, "I didn't lie. They are considered like donkeys." So the Pasuk says, so now he sees the guy who was whipped. He wants to get revenge.
So the guy that got
whipped, who whipped wants to go, and he wants to tell him, "Hey, Rabbi, hey, you Persians, come here." He called you a bunch of donkeys, and
so the guy that gets whipped ends up getting killed.
Yeah.
Should have kept his mouth shut.
Right.
In other words, he accepted his punishment at first. Somebody else informed.
Accepted. I don't know if he accepted it. I'm sure he always had a.
He didn't go and complain.
I'm sure he always had a grudge.
Well,
he couldn't complain. I was whipped because then he goes.
But another guy went to the authorities and said.
Right. Yeah. It's a bunch of. It's an interesting story. So one more thing just here. It says the Torah states. This is again self-defense. If a thief is discovered while tunneling into the house and he is struck and dies, he has no blood. Meaning the taking of his life is not treated as murder. The reason for this law is that since the thief knows that owners protect their property forcibly, it can be assumed that he comes prepared to kill the owner. Therefore, one should kill the thief before he sheds innocent blood. Okay, so really that's what's happening here. It's an interesting story. It's a fascinating thing, actually. And it tells you the power, the problem of slander, how much the rabbis were in danger whenever they would be following the laws. Until this very day, by the way. Again, the rabbis who were following the law of hit the man until he says, "I will give the get." I'm not defending one way or another, but it was working. The point is, it was working. The guy did do it, and he gave the woman a get. Okay, fine. That's what Jewish law allowed for. But in American law, it does not. Yeah. So now you have that conflict. So if we do it privately, where nobody knows about it, okay, so it's done, and you get it, and it is finished. On the other hand, when somebody starts informing the government. By the way, it could be this guy who's informed the government. It could be anybody who's informed the government, and then you have to pay for it.
But as a community, the people who were doing it would be taking a risk that the guy would then want to go to the
Correct.
Which
is why it's not a good idea to. Sometimes you have to see the law and say, it doesn't apply today.
Yeah.
Right. You have to do that. But when it comes to something like that, you have to be very careful. Yeah. And really, if you have to beat somebody up in order to say yes, it's not a good situation anyway. Mm-hmm. I think what they should rather do, and I put this on there for everybody, is if a person doesn't want to give a get, in the case of get, what you should do is tell the spouse, if it's a woman, tell the woman, keep spending his money. Because he has to pay for everything until he divorces you. Period. So go on vacation, have a good time. Because he has to pay for it. That's what. Right. Guy Rolls Royce. Do what you have to do because he has to pay for it. That's the point. He can't say no to both sides of the fence. So by all means, spend his money. Okay. Or there's other ways to do it where he will get rid of you. Fine. Okay, we'll stop here.